Story 1. The Friendly Forest. Once upon a time in a faraway land, there was a beautiful forest. This forest was full of tall trees, colorful flowers, and chirping birds. The animals in the forest were very friendly and lived happily together. One sunny day, a little rabbit named Benny was hopping through the forest. Benny loved exploring new places and meeting new friends. As he hopped along, he saw a shiny object near a big oak tree. Curious, Benny went closer to see what it was. To his surprise, it was a golden key. Benny picked up the key and wondered what it could open. He decided to ask his friends in the forest for help. First, he went to see his friend, Tilly the turtle. "Tilly, look what I found," Benny said, showing her the golden key. Tilly looked at the key and said, "Wow, Benny, this is a beautiful key. I think we should ask Wise Owl. He might know what it opens." Benny and Tilly went to find Wise Owl, who lived in a tall tree at the edge of the forest. Wise Owl was very old and very wise. He knew everything about the forest. When they reached Wise Owl, Benny showed him the key. Wise Owl looked at it closely and said, "This is the key to the secret garden. The secret garden is a magical place that only opens with this key." Benny and Tilly were very excited. "Where is the secret garden?" Benny asked. Wise Owl pointed to a path leading deeper into the forest. "Follow this path and you will find the secret garden at the end," he said. Benny and Tilly thanked Wise Owl and followed the path. After a short walk, they arrived at a beautiful garden with a big, old gate. Benny used the golden key to unlock the gate, and it creaked open. Inside the secret garden, there were more flowers than they had ever seen. The air was filled with the sweet scent of roses and lilies. There were butterflies everywhere, and a small pond with fish swimming happily. Benny and Tilly spent the whole day in the secret garden, playing and exploring. They found a hidden swing, a tree house, and even a friendly hedgehog named Harry who lived there. As the sun began to set, Benny and Tilly knew it was time to go home. They promised each other they would come back to the secret garden again. The secret garden became their special place, where they could always go to find peace and happiness. And every time they visited, they discovered something new and wonderful. And so Benny, Tilly, and all their friends in the forest lived happily ever after, always cherishing their secret garden. Story 2. The Little Star. Once upon a time in the vast night sky, there was a little star named Twinkle. Twinkle was small but very bright. Every night, she shined her light as best as she could, hoping to be noticed by someone special. Twinkle had many friends in the sky. There was Orion the Hunter, Cassiopeia the Queen, and the Big Dipper. They were all big and well-known constellations, and Twinkle loved listening to their stories about the universe. One night, as Twinkle was shining brightly, she heard a soft sobbing sound. She looked around and saw a little girl sitting by her window on Earth, crying. Twinkle felt sad for the little girl and decided to help. She focused all her light and twinkled even more brightly. The little girl noticed the bright star and stopped crying for a moment. "Wow, you are such a bright star," the little girl said, wiping her tears. "I wish I could talk to you." Twinkle twinkled even more, trying to show the girl that she was there for her. The little girl smiled and said, "I will call you Twinkle. You are my special star." From that night on, every time the little girl felt sad or lonely, she would look up at the sky and talk to Twinkle. Twinkle listened carefully, and her bright light always made the girl feel better. One night, the little girl was feeling especially lonely. Her best friend had moved away, and she felt like she had no one to talk to. She sat by her window and looked up at Twinkle. "Twinkle, I miss my friend so much. I wish I could see her again," the little girl said with a sigh. Twinkle wanted to help. She twinkled as brightly as she could, trying to give the girl hope. Just then, the girl heard a knock on her door. She opened it and saw her parents standing there with a surprise. "Sweetie, we have a surprise for you," her mom said. "Your friend is here to visit." The little girl couldn't believe her eyes. Her best friend was standing right there, smiling at her. They hugged each other tightly, and the little girl felt so happy. That night, the two friends sat by the window and looked up at the sky. The little girl pointed at Twinkle and said, "That's Twinkle, my special star. She always makes me feel better." Her friends smiled and waved at Twinkle. "Thank you, Twinkle, for taking care of my friend," she said. Twinkle felt very happy and proud. She knew that she had made a difference in the little girl's life. From that night on, Twinkle continued to shine brightly, always watching over her special friend on Earth. And so, the little girl and Twinkle remained connected by their special bond. The little star continued to light up the night sky, bringing hope and happiness to all who looked up at her. Story 3. The Brave Little Ant. Once upon a time, in a bustling anthill, there lived a little ant named Andy. Andy was smaller than the other ants, but he had a big heart and a brave spirit. Every day, the ants worked together to gather food and build their home. One sunny morning, the queen ant called for a meeting. "We need to find a new food source," she announced. "Our supplies are running low, and we must act quickly." All the ants murmured in concern. They knew it was a dangerous task, but someone had to do it. Andy stepped forward and said, "I will go and find food for our colony." The other ants were surprised. "But, Andy, you are so small. It's too dangerous for you," they said. Andy stood tall and replied, "I may be small, but I am brave. I will do my best for our colony." The queen ant nodded and gave Andy her blessing. "Be careful, Andy, and return safely," she said. Andy set off on his journey, feeling determined. He walked for hours, searching for food. He climbed over rocks, crawled under leaves, and crossed tiny streams. Finally, he reached a large field full of delicious food. Excited, Andy began to gather as much as he could carry. Suddenly, he heard a rustling sound behind him. He turned around and saw a huge spider approaching. The spider looked hungry and dangerous. Andy felt scared, but he remembered his promise to the queen. He took a deep breath and said, "I must be brave." Using his quick thinking, Andy found a small hole in the ground and hid inside. The spider searched for him but couldn't find him. After a while, the spider gave up and left. Andy waited until it was safe, then came out of the hole. He quickly gathered more food and started his journey back to the anthill. The way back was long and tiring, but Andy didn't give up. He knew his colony was counting on him. When Andy finally reached the anthill, the other ants cheered. "Andy, you did it. You found food for us," they exclaimed. The queen ant smiled and said, "You are a brave and loyal ant, Andy. Thank you for your courage and determination." Andy felt proud and happy. He had proven that even though he was small, he could make a big difference. From that day on, Andy was known as the bravest ant in the colony. The other ants looked up to him and learned that true bravery comes from within. And so, the ants lived happily ever after, always working together and supporting each other. And Andy, the brave little ant, continued to inspire everyone with his courage and kindness. Story 4. The Magical Bookstore. In the heart of a bustling city, nestled between towering skyscrapers and busy streets, there was a small, quaint bookstore. The store's name, Whimsical Reads, was written in elegant gold lettering above the door. This bookstore was unlike any other, for it held secrets and magic that only a few knew about. The owner of the bookstore was an elderly man named Mr. Elwood. He had a kind face, with twinkling blue eyes and a long white beard. Mr. Elwood loved books and believed that each one held a world of its own, waiting to be discovered. One chilly autumn evening, a young girl named Lily stumbled upon the bookstore while wandering the city. Lily loved reading more than anything else in the world. Books were her escape, her friends, and her teachers. She had a knack for finding the most wonderful stories and immersing herself in their pages. As Lily entered Whimsical Reads, she was greeted by the warm, inviting smell of old books and the soft glow of lanterns hanging from the ceiling. The shelves were filled with books of all sizes and colors, and the room seemed to stretch endlessly, far beyond what the outside of the store suggested. "Hello there, young lady," Mr. Elwood said with a smile. "Welcome to Whimsical Reads. How can I help you today?" Lily looked around in awe. "Hello, sir. I'm just looking for a new book to read." "This place is amazing," Mr. Elwood chuckled. "I'm glad you think so. Every book here has a story to tell, and some of them are quite special. Would you like me to show you something magical?" Lily's eyes widened with excitement. "Yes, please." Mr. Elwood led Lily to the back of the store, where an old, dusty book sat on a pedestal. The book had a leather cover with intricate designs and a lock that seemed to shimmer in the light. "This, my dear, is the Book of Wonders," Mr. Elwood explained. "It contains stories that come to life when you read them. But be careful, for once you open it, you will be part of the adventure." Lily could hardly believe her ears. "Really? That's incredible. Can I read it?" Mr. Elwood nodded and handed her a small, silver key. "Use this key to unlock the book. Remember, the story will take you on a journey, and you must follow it to the end." With trembling hands, Lily inserted the key into the lock and turned it. The book opened with a soft glow, and the pages began to flutter as if blown by an invisible breeze. Words and images leaped from the pages, swirling around Lily until she felt herself being pulled into the book. When the swirling stopped, Lily found herself standing in a lush green forest. The air was fresh and filled with the scent of pine and wildflowers. Birds chirped merrily, and a gentle stream flowed nearby. "Where am I?" Lily wondered aloud. A voice answered her from behind. "You are in the enchanted forest, dear child." Lily turned to see a graceful white deer with sparkling antlers. The deer bowed its head slightly and said, "I am Lyra, the guardian of this forest. Welcome to our world." Lily was amazed. "I've never seen anything like this. It's so beautiful." Lyra smiled. "There is much to see and do here. But first, you must help us. The forest is in danger. A dark shadow has been creeping in, stealing the light and life from our home." Lily felt a surge of determination. "What can I do to help?" Lyra nodded approvingly. "You must find the crystal of light. It is hidden deep within the forest and has the power to banish the shadow. Follow the path of the golden leaves, and it will lead you to the crystal." Lily thanked Lyra and set off on her quest. She walked for what seemed like hours, following the trail of golden leaves. Along the way, she encountered various creatures who offered their assistance. A wise old owl named Orion gave her a map of the forest, and a mischievous squirrel named Pip showed her the best way to avoid the shadowy areas. As she ventured deeper into the forest, the trees grew taller and the light dimmer. The air became colder, and the sense of danger increased. But Lily didn't give up. She knew she had to find the crystal of light and save the enchanted forest. Finally, she reached a clearing where a magnificent tree stood. Its branches sparkled with tiny lights, and at its base, there was a crystal that glowed with a pure, radiant light. Lily approached the crystal, but as she reached out to touch it, a dark figure emerged from the shadows. It was the Shadow Lord, a menacing creature with glowing red eyes and a voice like thunder. "Who dares to take the crystal of light?" the Shadow Lord bellowed. Lily stood her ground. "I do. I will not let you destroy this beautiful forest." The Shadow Lord laughed mockingly. "You are just a child. What can you do?" Lily remembered the words of her friends and the courage she had within her. "I may be just a child, but I have the heart of a warrior and the support of this forest." With that, she reached out and grabbed the crystal. Its light grew brighter, engulfing the Shadow Lord. He screamed in rage as the light banished him, restoring the warmth and beauty of the forest. The creatures of the forest cheered and gathered around Lily. Lyra stepped forward and said, "You have saved us, brave Lily. The enchanted forest owes you a great debt." Lily smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. "I'm just glad I could help." With a gentle nudge from Lyra, Lily found herself being pulled back, the world of the book fading away. She opened her eyes and was back in the bookstore, the Book of Wonders still glowing softly in her hands. Mr. Elwood smiled warmly at her. "Welcome back, Lily. You have done well." Lily returned the book and key to Mr. Elwood. "Thank you for letting me read the book. It was the most amazing adventure I've ever had." Mr. Elwood nodded. "Remember, Lily, the magic of books is always with you. Keep reading, and you will find many more adventures waiting for you." With a heart full of gratitude and wonder, Lily left the bookstore, knowing she would return again soon. The city streets seemed a little brighter, and her steps a little lighter, as she carried the magic of the enchanted forest with her. Story 5. The Time-Traveling Watch. In a small, picturesque town, there lived a curious boy named Max. Max loved to explore and discover new things. One day, while rummaging through his grandfather's attic, he found an old, dusty box hidden in a corner. Inside the box was an antique pocket watch. The watch had intricate designs etched into its golden surface and a delicate chain attached to it. Max's grandfather, Mr. Jenkins, was a retired clockmaker known for his craftsmanship. Max rushed downstairs, eager to show him the watch. "Grandpa, look what I found," he exclaimed, holding out the pocket watch. Mr. Jenkins' eyes widened in surprise. "Ah, the time-traveling watch. I thought I had lost it forever." "Time-traveling watch?" Max asked, his curiosity piqued. "Yes," Mr. Jenkins replied. "This watch was given to me by an old friend. It has the power to take you to any point in time, past or future. But it must be used wisely." Max was thrilled. "Can I try it, Grandpa?" "Please." Mr. Jenkins hesitated for a moment, but then nodded. "All right, Max. But remember, you must be careful. Time is a delicate thing." Max took the watch and carefully examined it. There was a small dial with numbers around it and a tiny button on the side. Mr. Jenkins instructed him, "Set the dial to the date you wish to visit and press the button. But always make sure to return before sunset." With excitement bubbling inside him, Max set the dial to the year 1805 and pressed the button. In an instant, he felt a strange sensation as if he was being pulled through a tunnel. When he opened his eyes, he found himself standing in a bustling marketplace from the past. People wore old-fashioned clothes, and horse-drawn carriages moved along cobblestone streets. Max wandered through the market, marveling at the sights and sounds. He saw a blacksmith forging horseshoes, a baker selling freshly baked bread, and children playing with simple toys. As he walked, Max noticed a young girl sitting alone on a bench, looking sad. He approached her and asked, "Hi, my name is Max. Why do you look so sad?" The girl looked up and replied, "My name is Emily. My family's bakery is struggling, and we don't have enough customers. I'm worried we'll have to close it down. Max felt a pang of sympathy. Maybe I can help, he said. He remembered the freshly baked bread he saw earlier and had an idea. Let's make some delicious bread and give out free samples to people. If they like it, they'll come to your bakery. Emily's face brightened. That's a wonderful idea. Thank you, Max. Together, they went to Emily's bakery and started baking. The aroma of freshly baked bread filled the air, drawing the attention of passers-by. Max and Emily handed out free samples, and soon enough, people started flocking to the bakery. As the sun began to set, Max knew it was time to return. He said goodbye to Emily, promising to visit again someday. He took out the pocket watch, set the dial to the present day, and pressed the button. In a flash, Max was back in his grandfather's attic. Mr. Jenkins was waiting for him. How was your adventure? He asked. Max grinned. It was amazing, Grandpa. I helped a girl named Emily save her family's bakery. Mr. Jenkins patted him on the back. Well done, Max. You've used the watch wisely. Max couldn't stop thinking about his adventure. The next day, he set the dial to another date and pressed the button. This time, he found himself in the future, in a world filled with advanced technology and flying cars. He made new friends and learned about incredible inventions. Max continued to use the time-traveling watch, exploring different periods and helping people wherever he went. Each adventure taught him valuable lessons about history, kindness, and the importance of using time wisely. One day, Max decided to visit Emily again. He set the dial to the year 1805 and pressed the button. When he arrived, he found the bakery thriving, with a long line of customers waiting to buy bread. Emily was there, smiling and happy. Max, you're back, Emily exclaimed, running to hug him. Thank you for everything. Our bakery is doing so well now. Max smiled. I'm glad to see that. Keep up the good work, Emily. As the sun began to set, Max knew it was time to return home. He said goodbye to Emily and used the watch to travel back to the present. Max's adventures with the time-traveling watch continued, each journey bringing new experiences and friendships. He realized that while the watch could take him to different times, the true magic lay in the connections he made and the good he could do. And so Max and his grandfather, Mr. Jenkins, kept the secret of the time-traveling watch, cherishing its power and the incredible adventures it brought into their lives. Story 6. The Lost Treasure of Pirate Island. Long ago, in a bustling seaside village, there lived a young boy named Jack. Jack was fascinated by tales of pirates and hidden treasures. His favorite story was about Pirate Island, a mysterious place where the infamous Captain Blackbeard had buried his treasure. One sunny afternoon, while Jack was exploring the beach, he stumbled upon an old, tattered map half buried in the sand. The map was marked with strange symbols and a big red X in the center. Jack's heart raced with excitement as he realized what he had found, a treasure map. Jack rushed home to show the map to his best friend Lily. Lily was a brave and clever girl who loved adventure as much as Jack did. Look, Lily, it's a treasure map. We have to find the treasure of Pirate Island, Jack exclaimed. Lily examined the map closely. You're right, Jack. This could be our greatest adventure yet. We need a boat to reach the island. The next day, Jack and Lily borrowed a small fishing boat from Jack's uncle and set sail for Pirate Island. The journey was long and challenging. They faced strong winds and high waves, but their determination kept them going. After several hours at sea, they finally spotted Pirate Island in the distance. The island was shrouded in mist, giving it an eerie appearance. As they approached the shore, they could see the remains of old shipwrecks scattered along the beach. Jack and Lily carefully followed the map, which led them through dense jungles, across rickety bridges, and up steep hills. Along the way, they encountered various obstacles, including quicksand pits and wild animals. But they pressed on, determined to find the treasure. At the top of a hill, they came across an old, abandoned pirate camp. Rusty swords and broken barrels lay strewn about. Jack found an ancient journal among the ruins. It belonged to one of Blackbeard's crew members and detailed the final resting place of the treasure. "The treasure is hidden in a cave on the northern side of the island," Jack read aloud. "But beware, for it is guarded by traps and puzzles designed to keep intruders away." With renewed determination, Jack and Lily made their way to the northern side of the island. They found the entrance to the cave, hidden behind a waterfall. The cave was dark and filled with echoes of dripping water. They lit a torch and ventured inside. The cave was a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers. They encountered several puzzles, including a riddle carved into the wall and a series of levers that needed to be pulled in a specific order. Working together, they solved each puzzle, getting closer to the treasure with every step. Finally, they reached the heart of the cave. In the center of a large chamber, there was a chest covered in dust and cobwebs. Jack and Lily carefully opened the chest, and their eyes widened in amazement. Inside the chest were piles of gold coins, sparkling jewels, and ancient artifacts. There was also a beautifully crafted golden compass. Jack picked up the compass and noticed an inscription on the back. It read, "To those who seek adventure and friendship, may this compass guide you to new horizons." Jack and Lily couldn't believe their eyes. They had found the legendary treasure of Pirate Island. They spent some time admiring their find and imagining the adventures Captain Blackbeard and his crew must have had, but they knew they couldn't keep the treasure for themselves. They decided to take only a few gold coins and jewels as souvenirs and leave the rest for future adventurers to discover. They carefully reburied the chest and made their way back to their boat. As they sailed back to their village, Jack and Lily felt a sense of accomplishment and pride. They had faced many challenges and worked together to achieve their goal. They knew that their friendship was the greatest treasure of all. When they returned home, they shared their adventure with the villagers. Everyone was amazed by their bravery and the treasure they had found. Jack and Lily became local heroes, and their story was passed down through generations. From that day on, Jack and Lily continued to seek out new adventures, always guided by the golden compass and their unbreakable bond of friendship. And whenever they looked out to sea, they remembered the incredible journey that had brought them closer together. And so, the legend of the lost treasure of Pirate Island lived on, inspiring others to seek their own adventures and cherish the friendships they made along the way. Story 7. The Secret Garden. In the heart of a quaint little village, there was an old, abandoned mansion surrounded by tall, overgrown hedges. The mansion had been empty for years, and the villagers believed it was haunted. But among the villagers, there was a curious girl named Sophie who loved exploring and discovering hidden places. One warm summer day, Sophie decided to explore the mansion. She squeezed through a gap in the hedge and found herself in a wild, tangled garden. Flowers of all kinds grew haphazardly, and ivy climbed the walls of the mansion. As she wandered deeper into the garden, Sophie noticed a rusty old key lying on the ground. She picked up the key and examined it. It looked ancient and mysterious. Excited, Sophie wondered what it might unlock. She looked around and saw an old wooden door covered in vines at the far end of the garden. She walked over and inserted the key into the lock. To her surprise, it turned easily, and the door creaked open. Beyond the door was another garden, but this one was different. It was beautifully maintained, with colorful flowers, neatly trimmed hedges, and a small pond with lily pads. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming roses and the gentle hum of bees. In the center of the garden stood a tall, elegant woman with kind eyes and a warm smile. She was dressed in a flowing gown that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. "Welcome, Sophie," the woman said in a gentle voice. "I am Lady Alara, the guardian of this secret garden." Sophie was astonished. "How do you know my name?" she asked. Lady Alara smiled. "This garden is magical. It knows the hearts of those who enter it. I have been waiting for someone like you to find it." Sophie looked around in wonder. "It's beautiful. Why is it hidden away?" "This garden was created to bring joy and peace to those who need it," Lady Alara explained. "But it can only be found by those with pure hearts and a sense of adventure. You have been chosen to care for it." Sophie felt a surge of happiness. "I would love to take care of this garden. But what do I need to do?" "Just spend time here, tending to the flowers and plants," Lady Alara said. "The garden will guide you. And remember, the magic of this place will help you grow as well." From that day on, Sophie visited the secret garden every day. She watered the flowers, trimmed the hedges, and fed the fish in the pond. The garden flourished under her care, and Sophie felt a deep sense of peace and contentment. One day, while exploring a hidden corner of the garden, Sophie discovered a small, stone bench with an inscription on it. The inscription read, "To those who seek beauty and kindness, may this garden be your haven." Sophie smiled and sat on the bench, feeling the magic of the garden surround her. She realized that the garden was not just a place of beauty, but also a place of healing and growth. She began to invite others to visit the garden, sharing its magic with her friends and neighbors. As more people came to the garden, it became a place of community and friendship. Children played among the flowers, artists painted the vibrant blooms, and musicians filled the air with joyful melodies. The garden brought people together, creating bonds and memories that would last a lifetime. One evening, as the sun set and the garden glowed with a soft, golden light, Lady Alara appeared before Sophie. "You have done well, Sophie," she said. "The garden has thrived under your care, and its magic has touched many lives." Sophie felt a sense of pride and gratitude. "Thank you, Lady Alara. This garden has brought so much joy to me and to everyone who visits it." Lady Alara nodded. "Remember, Sophie, the magic of the garden is within you. As long as you carry kindness and beauty in your heart, the garden will always be with you." With those words, Lady Alara vanished, leaving Sophie standing in the twilight. She knew that the secret garden would continue to flourish, a haven of peace and beauty for all who discovered it. And so, the garden remained a cherished secret, a place where dreams blossomed and hearts found solace. Sophie continued to care for it, sharing its magic with the world and spreading the message of kindness and beauty wherever she went. Story 8. The Enchanted Library. In a small, sleepy town named Maplewood, there was an old library that few people visited. The library, called Whispering Pages, was run by a kind old man named Mr. Thompson. He had a long, white beard and wore round glasses that always seemed to be perched on the end of his nose. The library was filled with books from floor to ceiling, and the air was thick with the scent of old paper and leather bindings. But what made Whispering Pages truly special was a secret known only to a few. The library was enchanted. Every book in the library had the power to transport readers into its story. One day, a young girl named Emily moved to Maplewood with her family. Emily loved reading and was thrilled to discover the old library. She spent hours exploring the shelves, marveling at the vast collection of books. One dusty afternoon, as she reached for a book on a high shelf, she stumbled upon a hidden door at the back of the library. Curiosity getting the better of her, Emily opened the door and found herself in a small, cozy room filled with glowing books. In the center of the room was a large wooden desk, and on it lay an ancient book with a golden cover. The book was titled The Adventures of Lyra the Brave. Emily gently picked up the book and opened it. To her amazement, the words on the pages began to shimmer and swirl, pulling her into the story. Suddenly, she was no longer in the library but standing in a dense forest under a sky full of stars. "Where am I?" Emily wondered aloud. A soft voice answered her. "You are in the land of Arvindor, my dear." Emily turned to see a young woman dressed in shining armor, with a sword at her side. The woman had fierce, determined eyes and a warm smile. "I am Lyra, the protector of Arvindor. Welcome to our world." Emily was both excited and nervous. "I'm Emily. How did I get here?" Lyra explained, "This land exists within the pages of the book you hold. You have been chosen to join our adventure." Before Emily could ask more questions, a loud roar echoed through the forest. Lyra's expression turned serious. "We must hurry. The Shadow King has been terrorizing our land, and we need to find the Crystal of Light to defeat him." Emily nodded, feeling a sense of purpose. She joined Lyra on her quest, and together they traveled through enchanted forests, climbed treacherous mountains, and crossed vast deserts. Along the way, they met many creatures, some friendly, like the talking trees who offered guidance, and others dangerous, like the fire-breathing dragons guarding the mountain passes. Throughout their journey, Emily discovered she had a gift for understanding the languages of Arvindor's creatures. She communicated with animals and even negotiated with the dragons, convincing them to let her and Lyra pass safely. After many trials and adventures, they finally reached the Cave of Eternity, where the Crystal of Light was hidden. The cave was dark and filled with traps, but Emily's quick thinking and Lyra's bravery helped them navigate through safely. At the heart of the cave, they found the Crystal of Light, glowing with a pure, radiant energy. Just as they were about to take it, the Shadow King appeared, a tall, menacing figure shrouded in darkness. "You cannot take the crystal," the Shadow King hissed. "It belongs to me." Lyra drew her sword, ready to fight, but Emily stepped forward. "We don't have to fight," she said calmly. "This land needs light and hope, not darkness and fear. Let us use the crystal to restore balance." The Shadow King hesitated, surprised by Emily's courage and wisdom. After a moment, he lowered his staff. "Perhaps you are right," he said slowly. "I have been blinded by my own darkness. Take the crystal and bring light back to Arvindor." With the Crystal of Light in their possession, Lyra and Emily returned to the heart of Arvindor. They placed the crystal on a pedestal in the center of the land, and a brilliant light spread across the realm, banishing the shadows and restoring peace and harmony. The creatures of Arvindor celebrated their victory, and Lyra thanked Emily for her bravery and kindness. "You have a special gift, Emily. You are always welcome in Arvindor," she said with a smile. As the adventure came to an end, Emily felt a gentle tug, pulling her back to the library. She opened her eyes and found herself standing in the cozy room at Whispering Pages, the ancient book still in her hands. Mr. Thompson entered the room, smiling knowingly. "I see you've discovered the library's secret," he said. "You are now part of the Whispering Pages family." Emily beamed with joy. She knew she had found a place where her love for books and adventure could flourish. From that day on, she visited the library often, embarking on new adventures and exploring countless worlds within the enchanted books. And so, the magic of Whispering Pages lived on, bringing joy and wonder to all who discovered its secrets and dared to open its books. Story 9: The Talking Tree. In the charming village of Greenhill, there was a legend about an ancient tree in the nearby forest that could talk. Most villagers dismissed it as a mere tale, but children and the more adventurous villagers believed in its magic. Among these believers was a boy named Leo. Leo loved nature and often spent his days exploring the forest, hoping to find the legendary talking tree. One bright morning, armed with a backpack filled with snacks and a sense of adventure, Leo set out to find the tree. He walked deeper into the forest than he ever had before. The trees were tall and majestic, their leaves whispering in the gentle breeze. After hours of wandering, Leo began to feel tired. He sat down on a large rock to rest and eat his snacks. As he munched on an apple, he heard a soft rustling sound behind him. Curious, Leo turned around and saw the biggest tree he had ever seen. Its trunk was thick and gnarled. Its branches spread wide like giant arms, and its leaves were a vibrant green. There was something special about this tree. Leo approached it cautiously. "Hello," he called out softly, feeling a bit silly for talking to a tree. To his astonishment, a deep, gentle voice responded. "Hello, young one. What brings you to my part of the forest?" Leo's eyes widened in surprise. "Are you the talking tree?" The tree chuckled, its leaves rustling like laughter. "Yes, I am Elder, the guardian of this forest. It has been many years since someone came to speak with me." Leo's excitement bubbled over. "I've heard stories about you. I didn't think you were real." Elder's voice was kind and warm. "Many believe only what they see. But you, Leo, have the heart of an adventurer and the spirit to believe in the unseen. Tell me, what would you like to know?" Leo thought for a moment. "I love the forest and all its creatures. Can you teach me how to help protect it?" Elder's branches swayed as if nodding. "I can, young one. The forest thrives when all its inhabitants work together. First, you must learn to listen to the forest. Sit quietly and observe. The trees, the birds, and even the smallest insects all have stories to tell." Leo sat down at the base of Elder and closed his eyes. He listened to the sounds around him, the chirping of birds, the rustling of leaves, the distant babble of a brook. He felt a deep connection to the forest, as if he was part of its ancient rhythm. Over the next few weeks, Leo visited Elder every day. He learned about the different plants and animals, how to recognize their signs and signals, and the importance of maintaining balance in the ecosystem. Elder taught him how to plant new trees, care for injured animals, and even how to communicate with the forest spirits. One day, while Leo was tending to a young sapling, he heard a commotion nearby. He ran towards the noise and found a group of villagers arguing. They had come to cut down some trees to build a new road. "Wait," Leo shouted, running towards them. "You can't cut these trees down." The villagers turned to him in surprise. "Why not, Leo?" asked Mr. Harris, the village elder. "We need the road to connect to the neighboring town." Leo took a deep breath and spoke with conviction. "These trees are vital to the forest. They provide homes for countless animals and help keep the air clean. We need to find a way to build the road without harming the forest." Mr. Harris looked thoughtful. "And how do you propose we do that, young man?" Leo glanced towards Elder, who stood tall and silent in the background, a silent source of strength. "There is a way," he said confidently. "I've learned that we can work with the forest instead of against it. We can clear a path that avoids the oldest and most important trees and replant new ones along the road to replace those we take." The villagers murmured among themselves. Mr. Harris nodded slowly. "You've learned much from this forest, Leo. Let's try your way." With Elder's guidance and the villagers' cooperation, they carefully planned the new road, ensuring minimal impact on the forest. They worked together to plant new trees and protect the habitats of the forest's inhabitants. The project took longer than expected, but the result was a road that blended seamlessly with the natural surroundings. Leo became a hero in the village, known for his wisdom and love for the forest. Elder was proud of his young protege, knowing that the forest would thrive under Leo's watchful care. Years passed, and Leo grew up to become a respected guardian of the forest, much like Elder. He continued to teach others the importance of living in harmony with nature, ensuring that the legend of the talking tree lived on in the hearts of the villagers. And so, the forest of Green Hill remained a magical place, where those with open hearts and curious minds could still hear the whispers of Elder, the talking tree. Story 10. The Midnight Owl. In the serene village of Willowbrook, there lived a young girl named Clara. Clara had a deep love for animals and nature. She spent most of her days exploring the woods, observing the birds and other wildlife. Her best friend was a loyal dog named Max, who followed her everywhere. One evening, as the sun was setting and the sky turned a beautiful shade of orange and pink, Clara decided to take a walk in the woods with Max. The woods were peaceful, with the gentle rustling of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. Clara always felt at home in nature, and this evening was no different. As Clara and Max wandered deeper into the woods, they came across an old oak tree with a large hollow in its trunk. Clara had never noticed this tree before. Curious, she approached it and peered inside the hollow. To her surprise, she found a small, injured owl lying at the bottom of the hollow. "Oh no, you're hurt," Clara exclaimed softly. She gently picked up the owl, cradling it in her hands. The owl's eyes were wide and filled with pain. "Don't worry, I'll take care of you," she whispered. Clara carried the owl back to her house, with Max trotting beside her. She carefully tended to the owl's injuries, cleaning and bandaging its wing. She named the owl Midnight because of its dark, mysterious feathers and the fact that they had found each other at dusk. Over the next few weeks, Clara took great care of Midnight. She researched how to care for injured owls, reading books and asking the village vet for advice. Midnight grew stronger every day, and a special bond formed between them. Clara would talk to Midnight, sharing her dreams and fears, and although the owl couldn't speak, Clara felt understood. One night, as Clara was lying in bed, she heard a soft tapping on her window. She opened it to find Midnight perched on the windowsill, fully healed and ready to return to the wild. Clara's heart ached at the thought of saying goodbye, but she knew it was the right thing to do. "I'll miss you, Midnight," Clara said, tears welling up in her eyes. "But I'm so glad I could help you. Be safe out there." Midnight tilted its head as if to say thank you, then spread its wings and flew off into the night. Clara watched until the owl disappeared into the darkness, feeling both sadness and a sense of fulfillment. The next day, Clara felt a bit lonely without Midnight. She wandered through the woods with Max, hoping to catch a glimpse of her friend. As they walked, Clara noticed something different about the forest. It felt more alive, more vibrant. The birds sang more sweetly, and the trees seemed to whisper secrets. As night fell, Clara and Max found themselves back at the old oak tree. She sat down beneath it, looking up at the stars twinkling through the branches. Suddenly, she heard a familiar hoot. She looked up to see Midnight perched on a branch, looking down at her with its wise, golden eyes. "You came back," Clara exclaimed with joy. Midnight fluttered down and landed on her shoulder. Clara felt a warm glow inside her, knowing that their bond was unbreakable. From that night on, Midnight visited Clara often, bringing her gifts from the forest and guiding her through the woods. With Midnight's guidance, Clara discovered new paths and hidden places in the forest. She learned about the plants and animals in ways she never had before. The forest seemed to come alive with magic and wonder, and Clara realized that Midnight was more than just an owl. He was a guardian of the woods. Years passed, and Clara grew into a young woman. She became known in Willowbrook as the girl who could communicate with nature. People came to her for advice on how to care for the land and animals, and she shared her knowledge generously. Midnight remained her faithful companion, always watching over her and the forest. One day, Clara found an old, dusty book in the attic of her house. The book was filled with stories and legends of the forest, including one about a mystical owl that appeared to those with pure hearts and a love for nature. The owl was said to have the power to heal and protect, choosing a special person to bond with. Clara smiled as she read the story, realizing that she and Midnight were part of that legend. She knew that her love for the forest and all its creatures had brought Midnight to her, and their bond had enriched both their lives. And so, Clara and Midnight continued to explore the wonders of the forest together, sharing their magic and wisdom with those who were willing to listen. The village of Willowbrook thrived, its people living in harmony with nature, guided by the girl and her enchanted owl. Story 11: The Clever Fox and the Lost Key. In a peaceful village surrounded by rolling hills and meadows, there lived a clever fox named Felix. Felix was known throughout the village for his intelligence and resourcefulness. He loved solving problems and helping his friends. One crisp autumn morning, as Felix was strolling through the woods, he found an old, ornate key lying on the ground. The key was beautifully crafted, with intricate designs etched into its surface. Felix picked it up and wondered what it might unlock. As Felix continued his walk, he heard a commotion coming from the village. Curious, he hurried back to see what was happening. When he arrived, he found the villagers gathered around the town square, looking worried. Mayor Thompson, the village leader, stepped forward and addressed the crowd. A very important key has gone missing. It is the key to the town's vault, where we keep our most valuable items. Without it, we cannot access the vault, and we have an important ceremony tomorrow where we need to display a special artifact. Felix's ears perked up. He recognized the key he had found and knew it must be related to the missing key. He stepped forward and offered to help find it. The villagers were relieved and agreed to let him take on the task. Felix started his investigation by retracing his steps. He walked back to the spot where he had found the key and examined the area carefully. As he searched, he noticed small, muddy footprints leading away from where he had picked up the key. Following the tracks, Felix ventured deeper into the woods. The footprints led him to a burrow where a family of rabbits lived. Felix greeted the rabbits politely and asked if they had seen anything unusual. The mother rabbit, Mrs. Thumper, looked thoughtful. "I did see a squirrel scurrying around here earlier. He seemed to be carrying something shiny." Felix thanked Mrs. Thumper and continued his search. He soon spotted the squirrel, Sammy, perched on a low branch, examining a small, shiny object. Felix approached him calmly. "Hello, Sammy. I couldn't help but notice that you're holding something that looks like it might be a key. Is it yours?" Felix asked. Sammy looked nervous and tried to hide the key behind his back. "Oh, I found this key in the woods, but I wasn't sure what it was for. I was just curious." Felix smiled. "This key belongs to the town's vault. The villagers are looking for it, and they need it for an important ceremony. Could you please return it to them?" Sammy's eyes widened with realization. "Oh no. I didn't know it was so important. I'm sorry for keeping it. I'll return it right away." Felix and Sammy made their way back to the village. As they approached the town square, the villagers gathered around, hopeful that the key had been found. Felix handed the key to Mayor Thompson, who looked relieved and grateful. "Thank you, Felix. Mayor Thompson exclaimed. "And thank you, Sammy, for bringing it back. You've saved the day." The villagers celebrated Felix and Sammy's success with a small feast. Felix was proud to have helped his friends, and Sammy was happy to have learned an important lesson about honesty and responsibility. As the sun set, Felix took a moment to reflect on the day's events. He realized that sometimes solving a problem required more than just cleverness. It also needed kindness and cooperation. Felix returned to the woods, feeling content and satisfied. He knew that helping others and working together were the keys to making the world a better place. And so, the village of Willowbrook continued to thrive, with Felix and his friends always ready to lend a helping hand and solve any challenges that came their way. The story of the clever fox and the lost key became a cherished tale, reminding everyone of the importance of friendship and teamwork. Story 12. The Little Lighthouse Keeper. On a rocky cliff overlooking the vast ocean stood a small, weather-beaten lighthouse. The lighthouse was painted white with red stripes, and its beacon shone brightly each night, guiding ships safely through the treacherous waters. The keeper of this lighthouse was a kind and diligent man named Old Tom. Old Tom had lived in the lighthouse for as long as anyone could remember. He took great pride in his work, ensuring that the light was always shining and the lighthouse was well maintained. Despite his age, Old Tom was energetic and had a deep love for the sea. One stormy night, as Old Tom was polishing the lantern, a fierce gale blew in from the ocean. The waves crashed against the rocks, and the wind howled like a pack of wolves. Old Tom made sure that the beacon was working perfectly, for he knew how important it was for guiding the ships through the storm. As he was checking the lantern, he noticed something strange. A small, flickering light appeared on the horizon. Old Tom squinted through the rain and realized that the light was moving closer. He quickly grabbed his telescope and saw a small boat struggling against the monstrous waves. The boat was in danger of capsizing. Old Tom knew he had to act fast. He raced down the spiral staircase and out into the storm. The rain pelted him, and the wind almost knocked him off his feet. He made his way to the cliff's edge, where he could see the boat battling the waves. Determined to help, Old Tom grabbed a large rope and tied one end to a sturdy post. He then threw the other end of the rope into the water, hoping to reach the boat. With all his strength, he pulled on the rope, trying to help guide the boat towards the lighthouse. The storm raged on, and Old Tom could barely see the boat through the driving rain. He shouted into the wind, encouraging the sailors to keep going. The sailors, though exhausted and scared, saw the rope and began to use it to steer the boat towards safety. After what felt like hours, the boat finally reached the base of the cliff. The sailors, soaked and weary, climbed up the rope and onto solid ground. They were grateful and relieved to be safe. Old Tom welcomed them into the lighthouse, where he warmed them with hot tea and dry blankets. The sailors introduced themselves as Captain Jack and his crew. They were on a journey to deliver important cargo to the next port, but had been caught in the storm. Captain Jack expressed his deep gratitude to Old Tom. "We would have been lost without your help. You're a true hero." Old Tom smiled modestly. "I'm just doing my job. The lighthouse is here to keep everyone safe, and it's always a pleasure to help." The storm eventually passed, and the sun rose, revealing a calm and peaceful sea. The sailors thanked Old Tom again before continuing on their journey. Old Tom watched them depart, feeling content and fulfilled. The lighthouse continued to shine brightly each night, guiding ships safely to shore. Old Tom's bravery and dedication became a cherished story in the village, reminding everyone of the importance of caring for others and doing one's duty with heart and courage. And so, the little lighthouse stood tall on the cliff, a beacon of hope and safety for all who sailed the seas. Old Tom continued his work with unwavering dedication, knowing that every night, his light made a difference in the lives of those who journeyed across the vast ocean. Story 13. The Brave Little Turtle. In a lush, green meadow near a sparkling pond, there lived a tiny turtle named Toby. Toby was smaller than all the other turtles in the meadow, but he had a big heart and an even bigger dream. He wanted to explore the world beyond the pond and see what lay outside his familiar home. Every day, Toby watched the birds soar high above the trees and the butterflies dance in the flowers. He dreamed of adventures and exciting discoveries, but his small size and slow pace made him feel hesitant. The other turtles would often say, "Stay close to home, Toby. It's safer here." One bright morning, as Toby basked in the sun, he heard a commotion by the edge of the pond. A group of animals had gathered around a worried-looking squirrel named Sammy. Sammy explained that a family of ducks had become trapped in a net that had washed ashore. Toby's heart sank when he saw the net. It was tangled and tough to break. The ducks quacked in distress, and the other animals tried to help, but the net was too strong for them. Toby wanted to help but was unsure if he could. Remembering his dream of exploring and making a difference, he took a deep breath and said, "I'll try to help." The animals looked at Toby, puzzled but hopeful. "You're so small, Toby. Do you really think you can help?" "I may be small," Toby said, "but I have a big heart and determination. I can try." Toby crawled closer to the net. He examined it carefully, looking for the weakest spots. With his sharp little claws, he began to pull at the net, working tirelessly. His small size allowed him to get into places the larger animals couldn't reach. The other animals watched in amazement as Toby's determination started to make a difference. He found a small tear in the net and began to widen it, using all his strength. Sammy the squirrel and the other animals helped by pulling on the edges and guiding the ducks to safety. After a lot of hard work and teamwork, Toby finally managed to free the last duck. The ducks quacked happily and waddled away, grateful for their freedom. The animals cheered for Toby, amazed at what he had accomplished. Sammy the squirrel approached Toby with a big smile. "You were incredible, Toby. You may be small, but you're braver than anyone I've ever seen." Toby felt a warm glow of pride and happiness. "Thank you. I was scared at first, but I realized that even the smallest among us can make a big difference if we have the courage to try." From that day on, Toby became known as the brave little turtle of the meadow. His story inspired the other animals, and they learned that courage and determination could overcome any challenge, no matter how big or small. Toby's adventures didn't stop there. He continued to explore the world beyond the pond, discovering new places and making new friends along the way. His bravery and kindness made him a beloved figure in the meadow, and he lived his life fulfilling his dreams and helping those in need. And so, Toby the turtle proved that even the smallest creatures can have the biggest hearts and achieve great things with a little courage and determination. Story 14. The Magical Paintbrush. In the quaint village of Crestwood, there was a young girl named Lily who loved to paint. Lily had a special talent for creating beautiful pictures with just a few strokes of her brush. Her paintings of flowers, animals, and landscapes brought joy to everyone who saw them. One day, while exploring the attic of her grandmother's house, Lily discovered an old, dusty box. Inside the box was a paintbrush with a handle carved in intricate designs. It was unlike any paintbrush she had ever seen. Lily felt an immediate connection to it and decided to try it out. The next morning, Lily set up her easel in the garden and began to paint with the magical brush. As she painted, she noticed something extraordinary. The flowers in her paintings started to shimmer and sparkle. She blinked, thinking it was just her imagination. But when she looked again, the flowers had come to life. Excited, Lily painted a colorful butterfly, and to her amazement, it fluttered off the canvas and danced around the garden. She painted a small pond, and soon enough a real pond appeared in her garden, complete with sparkling water and playful fish. Word quickly spread about Lily's magical paintbrush. Villagers came from all around to see the wonders she created. Lily used her new talent to bring joy to everyone. She painted lush green fields where there had once been barren land and vibrant rainbows that stretched across the sky. Her creations made the village more beautiful and lively. However, with great power came great responsibility. One day, a greedy businessman named Mr. Blackwood heard about Lily's magical paintbrush and wanted it for himself. He thought it would make him rich and powerful. He approached Lily with a false offer to buy the paintbrush. "Sell me your paintbrush and I'll make you very wealthy," Mr. Blackwood said with a sly grin. Lily shook her head. "I'm sorry, but this paintbrush is not for sale. It's meant to spread happiness and beauty, not for personal gain." Mr. Blackwood was furious and decided to take the paintbrush by force. That night, while the village was asleep, he sneaked into Lily's garden and stole the paintbrush. The next morning, Lily was devastated to find the paintbrush missing. She knew she had to get it back to protect the village and its newfound beauty. With determination, she set out to find Mr. Blackwood. Lily followed clues and tracked Mr. Blackwood to his mansion on the outskirts of the village. Inside, she found him trying to use the paintbrush to create a golden statue for himself. But as he painted, nothing happened. The paintbrush refused to work for him. Realizing that the paintbrush only worked for those with pure intentions, Lily confronted Mr. Blackwood. "The paintbrush will not work for you, because it knows that you seek only to use it for selfish reasons. Return it, and leave the village in peace." Mr. Blackwood, seeing that the paintbrush was useless to him, begrudgingly returned it to Lily. "Fine," he said, "but I won't stop trying to find ways to get what I want." Lily took the paintbrush and returned to the village. She used it to restore the magic and beauty that had been lost during the ordeal. The villagers were grateful and celebrated her bravery and kindness. Lily learned an important lesson. True magic lies not in objects, but in the intentions and actions of those who use them. She continued to use her paintbrush to bring joy and wonder to the village, sharing her gift with those who appreciated it. And so, Crestwood remained a place of beauty and happiness, thanks to Lily's magical paintbrush and her generous heart. The village flourished, and Lily's artwork inspired others to find their own ways to spread kindness and creativity. Story 15. The Enchanted Garden. In the heart of a bustling city, there was a small, neglected park surrounded by tall buildings and busy streets. The park had once been a beautiful garden, but over the years, it had become overgrown with weeds and littered with trash. The once lush flowers and trees had withered, and the park was rarely visited. One day, a young boy named Alex, who loved nature and dreamed of becoming a gardener, stumbled upon the park while exploring the city. He was shocked to see how the garden had fallen into disrepair. Despite its state, Alex felt a deep connection to the place and decided to do something about it. With determination, Alex began cleaning up the park. He picked up trash, cleared away weeds, and trimmed the overgrown bushes. Each day after school, he would spend hours working on the garden, slowly bringing it back to life. One evening, as Alex was planting new flowers, he discovered a hidden door at the base of an old oak tree. The door was small and covered in ivy, and it had a rusty keyhole. Intrigued, Alex searched for the key but found nothing. The next day, as he continued his work, a mysterious old woman appeared at the edge of the park. She wore a long cloak and had a twinkle in her eye. "I see you've found the door," she said with a smile. Alex was surprised and asked, "Do you know what's behind it?" The old woman nodded. Long ago, this park was enchanted. It was a magical garden where plants could talk and flowers could sing. But when the magic was forgotten, the enchantment faded and the garden fell into disrepair. The door you found is the entrance to the heart of the garden's magic. Alex's eyes widened with excitement. "How can I restore the magic?" The old woman handed Alex a golden key. "This key will open the door. But remember, the magic can only be revived by someone who truly cares for the garden." With the key in hand, Alex unlocked the door. Inside, he found a small, hidden chamber filled with glowing plants and sparkling flowers. In the center of the chamber was a beautiful, ancient book. The book was covered in dust, but its pages shimmered with a soft light. Alex opened the book, and as he did, the garden around him seemed to come alive. The plants began to stretch and bloom. The trees rustled with renewed vigor, and the air was filled with the sweet fragrance of flowers. The old woman's voice echoed through the chamber. "You have restored the magic with your hard work and dedication. The garden is now enchanted once more." Alex felt a sense of joy and accomplishment. He continued to care for the garden, and soon the park became a vibrant oasis in the heart of the city. The enchanted garden attracted visitors from all around, who marveled at its beauty and tranquility. The plants and flowers seemed to have a life of their own. The roses sang gentle songs, the daisies danced in the breeze, and the trees whispered secrets to those who listened closely. Alex became known as the guardian of the enchanted garden. He taught others about the importance of caring for nature and preserving its beauty. The garden became a place of inspiration and peace for everyone who visited. The old woman returned from time to time to check on the garden and always left with a smile, knowing that the magic had been restored. She knew that the true magic of the garden was in the love and care that Alex had given it. And so, the enchanted garden thrived, a testament to the power of dedication and the magic of nature. Alex's dream had come true, and he had made a lasting difference in the world, one flower at a time. Story 16. The Lost Star. High above the clouds, in a realm of twinkling stars and shimmering constellations, lived a young star named Stella. Stella was one of the newest stars in the night sky, and she was eager to shine brightly and fulfill her purpose of guiding travelers and lighting up the night. One evening, as Stella prepared for her first night of shining, something unusual happened. A gust of cosmic wind swept through the sky, and Stella felt herself being pulled away from her place among the stars. Before she could react, she found herself tumbling through space and landing gently on the surface of a small, dark planet. Confused and disoriented, Stella looked around. The planet was covered in deep forests and vast oceans, and it was eerily quiet. She tried to fly back into the sky, but she found that she was stuck on the planet's surface. Her light was dim, and she couldn't shine like she used to. Desperate to return to her place in the sky, Stella began to explore the planet. She wandered through the forests, crossed rivers, and climbed mountains, hoping to find a way back to the stars. Along the way, she met various creatures who lived on the planet, each with their own unique abilities and knowledge. Stella first encountered Luna, a wise old owl who perched on a tall tree. "I've lost my way," Stella said. "Do you know how I can return to the sky?" Luna looked at Stella with understanding. "To return to the sky, you must find the cosmic bridge. It's a magical path that connects our world to the stars. But it is hidden and can only be found by someone who is determined and pure of heart." With renewed hope, Stella thanked Luna and continued her journey. She next met Terra, a gentle giant who tended to the planet's gardens. Terra was kind and offered Stella fruits and flowers to sustain her on her journey. As Stella ventured further, she encountered a playful group of fireflies who danced in the night. They told her that the cosmic bridge could only be revealed by someone who spread light and joy. Stella realized that even though her light was dim, she could still bring happiness to the creatures she met. Stella began to share her light with the planet's inhabitants. She illuminated the darkest corners of the forests, guided lost travelers, and brought warmth to the cold nights. As she spread light and kindness, she noticed something magical happening. The land around her began to brighten, and the night sky started to shimmer. One night, as Stella was helping a lost family of rabbits find their way home, she saw a glowing pathway appear in the sky. It was the cosmic bridge. It sparkled with stardust and seemed to lead straight up to the stars. Overjoyed, Stella thanked the creatures who had helped her along the way and bid them farewell. She followed the cosmic bridge, which carried her gently back into the sky. As she ascended, her light grew stronger and more brilliant than ever before. When Stella returned to her place among the stars, she shone with a renewed and radiant glow. She took her place in the night sky, guiding travelers and bringing light to the world below. The creatures of the planet looked up at the sky and saw Stella's bright light, knowing that she had found her way back home. From then on, Stella shone with a special brilliance, a reminder of her journey and the kindness she had shared. Her story became a cherished tale among the stars, inspiring others to spread light and joy wherever they went. And so, the night sky continued to sparkle with the magic of Stella's light, guiding and comforting those who looked up to the stars and reminding them that even in the darkest times, a little light can lead the way. Story 17. The Secret of the Whispering Woods. In a small, peaceful village nestled at the edge of a vast and mysterious forest, there was a legend about the Whispering Woods. The villagers spoke of trees that could talk and a hidden treasure guarded by ancient magic. Many had ventured into the woods seeking the treasure, but none had returned with it. Among the villagers was a curious young girl named Mia. Mia loved stories and had always been fascinated by the tales of the Whispering Woods. One day, she decided to uncover the truth behind the legend and find the hidden treasure for herself. Armed with a map she had found in an old book and a sense of adventure, Mia set off into the Whispering Woods. As she walked through the towering trees, she noticed that the leaves seemed to rustle with a soft, murmuring sound, almost like whispers. As Mia ventured deeper into the forest, she came across a wise old tree with a trunk as wide as a house and branches that reached the sky. The tree's bark was covered in strange symbols, and its leaves glowed with a faint light. "Hello, tree," Mia said politely. "I'm Mia. I'm looking for the hidden treasure of the Whispering Woods. Can you help me?" The old tree's voice was deep and gentle. "The treasure you seek is not just gold or jewels. It is a secret that has been hidden for many years. To find it, you must first prove that you have a kind heart and a brave spirit." Mia listened carefully and nodded. "I understand. I will do my best." The old tree gave Mia a small, glowing acorn. "This acorn will guide you on your journey. Follow its light and listen to the whispers of the woods. They will lead you to the treasure." Mia thanked the old tree and continued her journey, holding the glowing acorn in her hand. As she walked, she heard the whispers of the woods growing louder. The whispers seemed to be guiding her, leading her to a hidden path. Following the path, Mia came across a small, crystal-clear pond surrounded by delicate flowers. In the center of the pond was a floating, golden chest. The chest was locked with a large, ornate key, but there was no keyhole to be found. Mia's heart sank, but she remembered the old tree's words. She took a deep breath and approached the pond. She noticed that the flowers around the pond were wilting and seemed to be in need of help. Without hesitation, Mia began to carefully tend to the flowers, watering them and removing any weeds. As she worked, the flowers began to bloom and sparkle with vibrant colors. The pond's water became even clearer, and the golden chest started to glow. With a soft click, the chest's lid opened, revealing a beautiful, shimmering light. Inside the chest was a mirror with a frame made of intertwined vines and flowers. The mirror reflected Mia's image, but something was different. Her reflection smiled warmly and glowed with a gentle light. A voice spoke from the mirror. "You have found the true treasure of the Whispering Woods. It is the light and love you carry in your heart. The kindness you have shown to the forest has unlocked the magic within the mirror." Mia was amazed and delighted. She realized that the treasure was not material wealth, but the happiness and magic that came from helping others and caring for the world around her. As Mia made her way back to the village, she carried the mirror with her, and its light illuminated her path. The Whispering Woods seemed to sing with joy, and the villagers greeted her with awe and admiration. Mia shared the story of her adventure and the true treasure she had found. The village celebrated her bravery and kindness, and the Whispering Woods became a place of wonder and harmony, where the whispers of the trees now spoke of the magic of love and care. And so, the legend of the Whispering Woods lived on, reminding everyone that the greatest treasures are not those we find, but the kindness and light we share with the world. Story 18: The Fox and the Magic Lantern. Once upon a time, in a lush green forest, there was a clever fox named Fiona. Fiona was known throughout the forest for her intelligence and quick thinking. She had a knack for solving problems and was always ready to lend a helping paw to her friends. One day, while wandering near a babbling brook, Fiona discovered an old, ornate lantern half buried in the mud. It was covered in intricate patterns and looked very ancient. Curious, Fiona cleaned off the lantern and rubbed it gently to see if it would light up. To her astonishment, a soft glow began to emanate from the lantern, and a gentle, shimmering voice spoke from inside. "Thank you for freeing me. I am the spirit of the lantern, and I can grant you 3 wishes." Fiona's eyes widened with excitement. She had never encountered magic before and was thrilled at the possibility of making her wishes come true. However, Fiona was a wise fox, and she knew that making wishes required careful thought. After a moment of consideration, Fiona made her first wish. "I wish for the forest to be a place of harmony and happiness for all its creatures." The lantern's light grew brighter, and a wave of warmth spread through the forest. The trees seemed to sparkle, and the animals felt a newfound sense of peace and joy. Disputes and disagreements among the animals began to resolve, and the forest became a more harmonious place. For her second wish, Fiona thought of her friend Oliver, a kind but clumsy owl who had trouble finding food. "I wish for Oliver to have a bountiful supply of food and to always be healthy and strong." The lantern glowed once more, and soon, a magical grove appeared near Oliver's home, filled with delicious fruits, nuts, and berries. Oliver was delighted and thanked Fiona for her kindness. He no longer had to struggle to find food and could focus on sharing his wisdom with the other animals. With one wish remaining, Fiona pondered deeply. She wanted to use her last wish wisely and make a lasting impact. She decided to wish for something that would benefit the entire forest for years to come. "I wish for the forest to always be protected and cared for, so that it remains a beautiful and thriving home for all creatures," Fiona said with determination. The lantern's light shimmered with an enchanting glow, and the magic spread throughout the forest. Trees grew stronger and healthier, and the streams ran crystal clear. The forest was blessed with everlasting beauty and balance, and the animals felt a deep connection to their home. The spirit of the lantern spoke softly, "Your wishes have been granted, dear Fiona. You have used your gifts wisely and with great heart. The forest will forever be a place of wonder and joy, thanks to your kindness." Fiona thanked the lantern and set it gently back in its resting place. She felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that her wishes had made a positive difference in the world. From that day on, Fiona continued to live her life with wisdom and compassion. The forest thrived, and its inhabitants enjoyed the benefits of Fiona's thoughtful wishes. The story of the fox and the magic lantern became a cherished tale among the animals, reminding them of the power of kindness and the importance of using one's gifts for the greater good. And so, the forest remained a magical and harmonious place where every creature lived happily and the memory of Fiona's wishes continued to shine brightly. Story 19. The Clockmaker's Apprentice. In the charming town of Bellevue, there was a renowned clockmaker named Mr. Higgins. He was famous for his intricate and beautiful clocks that adorned homes and public spaces all over town. Mr. Higgins had a young apprentice named Timmy, who admired his master's skill and dreamed of becoming a great clockmaker himself. Timmy was eager to learn, but clockmaking was a delicate and precise craft. Mr. Higgins taught him everything he knew, from the tiny gears and springs to the art of crafting elegant clock faces. Timmy worked diligently, but he often struggled with the more intricate details of the craft. One day, Mr. Higgins received a special commission. The town's grand old clock tower, which had been silent for years, was to be restored. It was an important job, and Mr. Higgins knew it would be challenging. He decided it was time for Timmy to take on a significant role in this project. "Timmy," Mr. Higgins said, "this is a very important task. The Grand Clock Tower must be restored to its former glory, and I trust you to help with this project. It will be a great opportunity for you to prove your skills." Timmy felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He agreed eagerly, knowing this was his chance to make a meaningful contribution. The work began, and Timmy and Mr. Higgins spent long hours repairing and restoring the intricate mechanisms of the clock tower. As they worked, Timmy faced many challenges. The gears were old and rusty, and the clock's movements were delicate. Despite his best efforts, there were times when things didn't go as planned, and Timmy felt frustrated. One evening, as Timmy worked alone in the shop, he discovered a hidden compartment in an old clock casing. Inside, he found a dusty ancient book filled with notes and sketches about clockmaking techniques that had been forgotten over time. Timmy studied the book carefully and learned about an old method of precision that could help with the restoration of the Grand Clock Tower. Inspired by the new knowledge, Timmy applied the techniques and made improvements to the clock's mechanisms. When Mr. Higgins saw Timmy's work, he was impressed. "You've done an excellent job, Timmy. Your dedication and resourcefulness have made a real difference. The Grand Clock Tower will soon be able to chime once more." The day of the grand unveiling arrived. The entire town gathered to see the restored clock tower. Timmy and Mr. Higgins climbed the tower and made the final adjustments. With a turn of the key and a careful touch, the grand clock began to tick and chime, its bells ringing out across the town. The townspeople cheered and applauded. The Grand Clock Tower, now fully restored, stood proudly in the center of Bellevue. Timmy felt a deep sense of pride and accomplishment. He had faced challenges, learned from them, and contributed to something truly special. Mr. Higgins put a hand on Timmy's shoulder. "You've done exceptionally well, Timmy. You've proven that you have the skill and heart of a true clockmaker." Timmy's journey had just begun, but he knew that with dedication and a willingness to learn, he could achieve great things. The restored clock tower became a symbol of Timmy's hard work and determination, and the town of Bellevue enjoyed the beautiful chimes for many years to come. And so, Timmy continued to apprentice under Mr. Higgins, honing his craft and following his dream of becoming a master clockmaker. The legacy of the Grand Clock Tower lived on, a reminder of the importance of perseverance and the joy of creating something timeless. Story 20: The Kind Dragon. In a land far away, beyond the rolling hills and enchanted forests, there was a magnificent dragon named Ember. Ember was different from other dragons. While most dragons were known for their fierce fire-breathing and treasure hoarding, Ember was known for her kindness and gentle heart. Ember lived in a cozy cave high up in the misty mountains, where she spent her days helping the creatures of the land. She would use her warm breath to thaw frozen rivers, her powerful wings to carry lost animals home, and her soothing voice to comfort those in need. One day, a great storm swept through the land, causing floods and landslides. The animals of the nearby forest were terrified and found themselves stranded in the treetops, unable to reach safety. Hearing their cries for help, Ember flew down from her cave and arrived at the forest. The storm raged on, and the wind howled through the trees. Ember knew she had to act quickly to save the animals. She took a deep breath and used her warm breath to create a protective barrier around the treetops, shielding the animals from the harsh winds and heavy rain. Then, using her strong wings, she gently lifted the animals one by one and carried them to a safe, dry place. The animals were amazed by Ember's bravery and kindness. They had never seen a dragon like her before and were grateful for her help. Among the rescued animals was a wise old owl named Oliver. Oliver thanked Ember with a warm smile. "You are a true hero, Ember. Your kindness has saved us all. But there is a problem we still face. The river has been blocked by debris from the storm, and it's causing a dangerous flood." Ember nodded. "I will help with that too." With great care, Ember flew to the river and used her strength to clear away the fallen trees and rocks that had blocked the flow of water. As the river's waters began to flow freely again, the floodwaters receded, and the land began to recover. The forest was saved, and the animals cheered for Ember. They invited her to a grand celebration in their honor. The forest came alive with music and dancing as the animals celebrated their hero. During the celebration, Oliver approached Ember with a gift, a small, beautifully carved pendant. This pendant holds a magical charm that represents the gratitude of the forest. It will always remind you of the difference you've made. Ember accepted the gift with a warm smile. "Thank you, Oliver. But I don't need a reminder. Helping others is its own reward." The storm eventually passed, and the land slowly returned to normal. The forest animals and Ember became great friends, and they continued to look out for each other. Ember's kindness and bravery were celebrated throughout the land, and her story was told for generations. Ember continued to help those in need and spread her warmth and compassion wherever she went. Her legacy lived on as a reminder that true heroism comes from the heart and that even the smallest acts of kindness can make a big difference. And so Ember the Kind Dragon became a beloved figure in the land, known not for her fiery breath, but for her warm heart and the way she touched the lives of everyone she met. Story 21: The Brave Little Turtle. In a peaceful pond surrounded by tall reeds and blooming lilies, lived a little turtle named Tilly. Tilly was smaller than the other turtles and often felt overlooked. While her friends were fast and strong, Tilly was slow and cautious. However, she had a brave heart and a curious mind. One sunny morning, as Tilly explored the edge of the pond, she heard a commotion coming from the nearby forest. She saw a group of animals gathered around, looking worried. As she approached, she learned that a fierce storm was approaching, and the river that flowed into their pond was threatening to overflow. The animals were anxious. The river's banks were already starting to break, and the storm was growing stronger. They needed to find a solution quickly to prevent flooding and ensure their safety. While the larger animals discussed their plans, Tilly felt a surge of determination. She knew she had to do something, even though she was small. "I can help," Tilly said. "I may be small, but I'm not afraid to try." The animals were skeptical but agreed to let Tilly try. She decided to explore the river upstream to see if there was anything she could do. The river was swollen with rainwater and rushing quickly, making the journey challenging. Tilly slowly made her way upstream, using her strong legs to navigate through the high waters. She noticed that a large pile of debris, branches and fallen trees, was blocking the river and causing it to overflow. Realizing the urgency, Tilly knew she had to clear the debris to prevent further flooding. Despite her small size, Tilly worked tirelessly. She used her sharp claws to move the branches and rocks, clearing a path for the water to flow more freely. It was a difficult task, but Tilly's determination and bravery kept her going. As the storm continued to rage, Tilly's hard work began to pay off. The river's flow improved, and the water level started to drop. The animals at the pond watched in amazement as Tilly's efforts made a difference. They cheered her on, their worry turning to hope. Finally, after hours of hard work, Tilly had cleared enough debris to allow the river to flow smoothly again. The floodwaters receded, and the pond's water level returned to normal. The storm eventually passed, and the animals were safe and dry. The animals gathered around Tilly, expressing their gratitude. "You saved us, Tilly," they exclaimed. "Your bravery and determination made all the difference." Tilly felt a deep sense of pride and happiness. She realized that being small did not mean she couldn't make a big impact. Her bravery and willingness to help had shown everyone that true courage comes from the heart. From that day on, Tilly was celebrated as a hero in the pond. The animals respected and admired her for her bravery, and Tilly became known as the brave little turtle. Tilly continued to live her life with the same courage and kindness she had always shown. Her story became a beloved tale among the animals, reminding them that even the smallest creature can achieve great things with determination and a brave heart. And so, the brave little turtle's legacy lived on, inspiring others to face challenges with courage and to believe in their own strength. Story 22. The Lantern Festival. In a quaint village nestled between rolling hills and a shimmering lake, the villagers eagerly anticipated the annual Lantern Festival. The festival was a cherished tradition, where everyone gathered to release glowing lanterns into the night sky, making wishes for the year ahead. This year, a young girl named Eliza was especially excited. It would be her first time designing her own lantern. Eliza was known for her creativity and had been working for weeks on a beautiful lantern decorated with stars and moons. As the festival approached, Eliza meticulously added the finishing touches to her lantern. She painted delicate patterns, carefully attached the handles, and even wrote a special wish on a piece of parchment that she placed inside the lantern. Her wish was for her village to always be filled with happiness and unity. The night of the Lantern Festival arrived, and the village square was abuzz with excitement. Stalls lined the streets, offering delicious treats and colorful decorations. Lanterns of all shapes and sizes were displayed, and the air was filled with laughter and joy. Eliza proudly carried her lantern to the center of the square, where everyone gathered to prepare for the grand release. The villagers admired her creation, and Eliza felt a warm sense of accomplishment. As the sun set and the sky darkened, the villagers began to light their lanterns. One by one, the lanterns floated gently into the sky, casting a magical glow over the village. The sight was breathtaking. Thousands of lanterns drifting upward, their lights twinkling like stars. Eliza's lantern was among them, and as it ascended, she made her wish with all her heart. However, as she watched her lantern rise, she noticed that one of her friends, Sam, was struggling with his lantern. It had a small tear, and the flame was flickering uncertainly. Without hesitation, Eliza rushed over to help Sam. She carefully repaired the tear and adjusted the flame, ensuring that his lantern would float smoothly. Sam was grateful and joined Eliza in watching their lanterns rise together. As the night wore on, a gentle breeze picked up, carrying the lanterns farther into the sky. Eliza and Sam noticed that some lanterns were getting caught in the trees and other obstacles, unable to continue their journey. Eliza had an idea. "Let's help those lanterns," she suggested. With Sam's help, Eliza carefully retrieved the lanterns that had become stuck. They gently released them once more, ensuring they had a clear path to the sky. The village watched in awe as the lanterns soared higher and higher, lighting up the night with their warm, hopeful glow. The sky was filled with a sea of lanterns, and the village felt a deep sense of unity and joy. When the festival came to an end, the villagers gathered to celebrate the success of the event. The mayor of the village approached Eliza and Sam, praising them for their kindness and teamwork. "Your actions tonight have made this festival truly special. You've shown the true spirit of the Lantern Festival." Eliza smiled, feeling proud and fulfilled. The festival had been a success, not just because of the beautiful lanterns, but also because of the spirit of togetherness and support. As the lanterns slowly faded into the distance, the villagers shared stories and laughter, enjoying the warmth of their community. Eliza and Sam continued to help each other and their friends, knowing that the true magic of the festival was in the bonds they had strengthened and the kindness they had shared. And so, the Lantern Festival became a cherished memory for everyone, a celebration of light, unity, and the joy of helping others. Eliza's lantern had not only carried her wish, but had also brightened the lives of everyone in the village. Story 23: The Enchanted Garden. In a charming village bordered by lush meadows and serene lakes, there was a hidden garden known only to a few. This garden was said to be enchanted, filled with flowers that changed colors and trees that whispered secrets to those who listened. It was a place of wonder and magic, and the villagers spoke of it in hushed tones. One day, a young boy named Leo, who was known for his curiosity and adventurous spirit, heard a story about the enchanted garden from his grandmother. Intrigued, Leo decided he wanted to find this magical place. He wanted to discover its secrets and learn about the wonders it held. Armed with a small backpack filled with snacks, a notebook, and a pencil, Leo set out on his adventure. He followed the clues from the story his grandmother had told him, which spoke of a hidden path behind the old willow tree at the edge of the village. After a long walk, Leo finally arrived at the ancient willow tree. Its branches hung low, creating a natural curtain of leaves. With excitement, Leo pushed aside the branches and discovered a narrow, winding path hidden behind the tree. The path was overgrown with ivy and wildflowers, but Leo bravely pressed on. As he walked, he noticed the air becoming warmer and filled with a sweet, floral scent. The path led him through a series of twists and turns until he finally emerged into a clearing. Before him lay the enchanted garden, more beautiful than he had ever imagined. The garden was filled with vibrant flowers of every color, and the trees had leaves that shimmered in the sunlight. The flowers seemed to dance in the breeze, changing colors with each gust of wind. In the center of the garden was a large, ancient oak tree with a door carved into its trunk. Leo approached the tree and gently knocked on the door. To his surprise, it slowly creaked open, revealing a cozy, magical room inside the tree. Inside the room, there was a friendly old gnome named Grizzle. Grizzle was the guardian of the enchanted garden and welcomed Leo with a warm smile. "Welcome, young adventurer. It's rare to see a visitor in our garden. What brings you here?" Leo introduced himself and explained his curiosity about the garden. Grizzle listened attentively and then said, "This garden is a place of magic and wonder, but it is also a place of harmony and balance. The flowers, the trees, and even the gentle breeze work together to create this magical place." Grizzle showed Leo around the garden, explaining the special properties of the plants and trees. The flowers that changed colors were enchanted to reflect the emotions and wishes of those who visited. The whispering trees shared wisdom and stories with those who listened closely. As the day went on, Leo learned many secrets about the garden and its inhabitants. He discovered that the garden's magic came from the harmony between nature and the kindness of those who cared for it. Grizzle shared stories of how the garden had helped people find joy, comfort, and inspiration. Before leaving, Grizzle gave Leo a small, enchanted seed. Plant this seed in your own garden, and it will bring a touch of magic to your life. Remember, the true magic lies in the kindness and harmony you bring to the world. Leo thanked Grizzle and carefully made his way back to the village, the enchanted seed safely tucked in his backpack. When he returned home, he planted the seed in his own garden and watched as it grew into a beautiful, shimmering flower. The enchanted garden had not only been a place of wonder, but also a reminder of the importance of harmony, kindness, and the magic that exists in everyday life. Leo often visited the garden and shared its secrets with his friends, spreading joy and magic wherever he went. And so, the enchanted garden continued to be a place of inspiration and wonder, reminding everyone that magic can be found in the most unexpected places and that the true magic comes from the heart. Story 24. The Music of the Seashell. In a coastal village where the sea met the shore, there was a legend about a magical seashell that could play beautiful music. The legend said that the seashell had the power to bring peace and joy to anyone who heard its melody. A young girl named Lena lived in the village. Lena loved the ocean and often collected seashells during her walks along the beach. She had heard the legend of the magical seashell many times, but she never believed it was real. Still, she dreamed of finding it one day. One sunny morning, as Lena walked along the shore, she noticed something sparkling in the sand. Curious, she picked it up and discovered it was a beautifully iridescent seashell. It was unlike any she had ever seen. Its surface shimmered with all the colors of the rainbow. Excitedly, Lena took the seashell home and showed it to her grandmother. Her grandmother's eyes widened with recognition. "Lena, this seashell looks like the one from the old legend. It is said to hold magical music." Lena was intrigued. She carefully held the seashell to her ear, expecting to hear the gentle rush of the ocean, but instead, she heard a soft, melodious tune. The music was sweet and enchanting, with notes that seemed to dance on the breeze. Eager to share this discovery, Lena played the seashell's melody for the villagers. As the music filled the air, everyone was captivated. The once bustling village fell silent, and the villagers gathered around Lena, listening to the magical tune. The music from the seashell had a calming effect on everyone. It soothed worries and brought smiles to their faces. People began to feel a sense of peace and happiness they hadn't experienced in a long time. As days passed, Lena continued to play the seashell's music, and it became a beloved part of village life. The melody seemed to have a magical ability to bring people together, creating moments of joy and unity. One evening, as Lena played the seashell by the shore, a gentle breeze carried the melody out over the ocean. The waves sparkled in the moonlight, and the sea seemed to respond to the music. To Lena's amazement, a group of dolphins swam close to the shore, leaping and twirling in harmony with the melody. The dolphins' playful dance added to the magic of the moment, and the villagers watched in. It was as if the seashell's music had created a bridge between the land and the sea, bringing them together in a celebration of nature's beauty. Lena's discovery had not only fulfilled the old legend, but had also brought a new sense of wonder and connection to the village. The magical seashell became a symbol of the beauty of music and the joy it could bring to people's lives. As the years went by, Lena continued to cherish the seashell and its music. She shared its magic with generations of villagers, teaching them the importance of harmony and the power of music to touch hearts and bring people together. And so, the legend of the magical seashell lived on, a reminder of the joy and peace that can be found in the simplest things, and the way music has the power to connect us all. Story 25. The Little Lighthouse Keeper. In a quiet coastal town, where the waves kissed the shore and the seagulls sang their songs, stood a small lighthouse on a rocky cliff. This lighthouse had been guiding ships safely for many years, but it was no ordinary lighthouse. Its keeper was a kind-hearted young girl named Mia. Mia had inherited the role of lighthouse keeper from her grandfather. Even though she was young, she took her job very seriously. Each day, Mia climbed the spiral staircase of the lighthouse to light the beacon, ensuring that ships could find their way safely through the night. One evening, as a storm began to brew, Mia noticed that the sky was growing darker and the waves were becoming rougher. She knew that the storm would make it difficult for ships to navigate, and she felt a sense of urgency. As the storm raged on, Mia carefully made her way to the top of the lighthouse. She lit the beacon, its bright light cutting through the darkness and guiding ships away from the dangerous rocks below. Despite the strong winds and heavy rain, Mia stayed at her post, ensuring the light stayed steady. Suddenly, Mia saw a distress signal from a ship struggling in the storm. The ship's light was flickering, and it seemed to be in trouble. Mia knew she had to act quickly. She used her radio to contact the ship, offering guidance and reassurance. With her careful directions and the steady light of the lighthouse, Mia helped the ship navigate through the stormy waters and safely reach the harbor. The ship's crew was immensely grateful and praised Mia for her bravery and quick thinking. As the storm subsided and the first light of dawn began to appear, Mia climbed down from the lighthouse. She was tired but proud of the work she had done. The townspeople, who had also been concerned for the ships at sea, gathered to thank Mia for her efforts. The town's mayor presented Mia with a special medal as a token of their appreciation. "You have shown great courage and dedication," the mayor said. "Your kindness and hard work have kept our sailors safe." Mia smiled and accepted the medal with humility. "I'm just doing my job," she said. "I'm happy to help." From that day on, Mia became known not only as the little lighthouse keeper, but also as a hero in the eyes of the townspeople and sailors. Her story was told and retold, inspiring others with her bravery and commitment. Mia continued to care for the lighthouse, guiding ships safely through many more storms and calm nights. Her dedication to her role made the lighthouse a beacon of hope and safety, and her kindness touched the hearts of everyone who knew her. And so, the little lighthouse keeper's legacy lived on, a reminder that even the smallest person can make a big difference with courage, dedication, and a caring heart.